Welcome to Clicks and Coffee. Today I'm joined by Heather Tussing, president of the Aspenwood Company, a Houston based senior living operator known for rapid growth, purposeful tech adoption, and a strong people first culture. Heather oversees a 20 community portfolio across Texas, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Tennessee, while piloting AI and other tools only where they clearly improve resident experience and scale operations. Aspenwood has also been recognized repeatedly as a great place to work and on Fortune's best workplaces in aging services, underscoring its emphasis on talent and culture. Heather, welcome.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the opportunity.
So today I'm pretty excited to have you on because on top of being the president of a pretty large senior living portfolio, you also love tech and people, and usually it's kind of headbutting to have those two.
Mhm.
So I have a couple of questions on that, but before we get into the weeds, I would like to hear a little bit more about your background and how you came to be the president of Aspenwood.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have worked my way up through senior living. I actually began my career as a sales director at a skilled nursing facility. Um, I quickly learned that while I valued that time there, I once I was able to transition to assisted living. So somehow I received an opportunity to be an executive director of an assisted living community. I had no idea what I was doing. I threw eight trash bags, like eight black trash bags and stuff away that probably either should have been shredded. Some of it should have probably been maintained. I didn't, again, I was a salesperson. I did not know the operations. I didn't know all the regulations. But then I began, we had a organization had 52 communities, and that year we got the most turned around community of the year award out of 52. And it was really me working hand in hand with my team members to ensure that we created success for our residents and our team members. From there, I went on to be a senior ED, a regional director. I've done vice president of compliance and community startup. I've done vice president of AL operations. I've been vice president of sales, COO, EVP, and now I'm president of the Aspenwood Company for it'll be just at 3 years.
And are you originally from Texas, or where are
I
you coming
am
from?
not. I was born and raised in Ohio, and I've operated communities throughout the country, and so I have a wide background of experience, which I think is so. I'm so grateful for to have grown up in the industry because it allows me to see all the different perspectives and it helps me make smarter decisions.
That I cannot agree more with you. I'm from a small town in France, and I had my fair share of moving around as well. And it's
Yes,
true that it broadens your horizon, and how how everybody is in different parts of the country.
variety is
Um,
good.
yes, yes. And
Mhm.
so now that you're president, you can really, I would say, execute your vision and
Mhm.
really make sure that your ideas or beliefs, and act on them. So what is Aspenwood's North Star for you right now? Is it more like growth? Are you working more on efficiency, experience, or are you balancing the three?
So we're really balancing. So one thing for me is that it doesn't matter. Like we're never going to be the largest. That's not our goal. We like a southeast footprint, but we want to be the best at what we do. And so yes, we want to continue to grow, and we have growth opportunities, which we're grateful for. But I have to make sure that we're doing what we say we're going to do, and that we do that well as we execute additional growth. So that's very important. And then bring on different areas that can be efficient, so that not just can we scale as an organization, but also to be efficient for our team members, so they can have more quality time with our residents or members and less busy time.
Yes, that's always the most important, is the quality
Mhm.
of care. And so right before we started the podcast, I know you just opened a new community in
Yes.
Nashville. Was that
Yes.
your first opening, like, overseeing a whole project, or can you tell us a little bit more about that project? How was the pre-leasing? How was the market different from Texas, and how does that
Yeah.
shape your future developments?
So definitely not my first. It was my second with Aspenwood, but at one point in my career, my whole job was vice president of acquisition and startup. So that's all I did at one point in my career, which gave me some really good lessons. And I think one thing that you learn is that you can think you have it down, and with every opening, you tailor it and you become better and better and better at it, which is great. And I work with such a great team. The SVP of Ops, Joel, who opened this community, is so strategic. He's so good with his teams. So he really was very hands-on with this opening experience. And I'm so grateful. Like that was one of my main things when I started 3 years ago was I was hired to bring change to the organization, which is both exciting and really difficult. And so, actually, I inherited Joel, and he is just such an amazing, strong leader, and amongst many that I work with. But he's one that I was able to maintain when I took over as president. But this community is just hit the ground running. We had amazing pre-leasing. It's at we have an amazing community team in place there, which is obviously extremely important. In addition
Mhm.
to that, it could not be a better location. It's actually on the Green Hills Mall, like the property for the Green Hills Mall in Green Hills in the Nashville area. So it's so walkable. A lot of what we do for our luxury, anything that luxury we develop is all urban infill, walkable. And so it's very difficult construction because you're taking around an acre, give or take a little bit, and you're building, you're putting 200 some units on this approximately of an acre. In this case, we had to blast, we had to go underground for the parking garages, so it took a considerable amount of time. But the community has hit the ground running. It is such a need. We had such a need for luxury that we actually sold out of our first floor penthouses and added a second floor penthouses. Those are all sold. So it's really making sure, and I work with great individuals on the development side who are just truly scientists at knowing where to build and what product to build there, and they do such a great job at it. Jim Gray, our owner, and then Alex Bichon, the managing director for Bridgewood, which is the development arm of Aspenwood, or we're the operating side of Bridgewood, whichever way you want to say it. But Alex and Jim do an amazing job at finding just the perfect location. And they really spend a lot of time assessing, going and sitting in local coffee shops, local diners, observing the traffic pattern to make sure that the spot they pick is a prime location, because these urban infill locations they're not inexpensive builds or inexpensive land buys. They're very expensive. So it has to be the
Yeah,
right
no.
product for the right market.
And I see that a lot of your communities are independent living, assisted living, and then memory care. Is that, I would say, kind of like the way that Aspenwood wants to keep moving forward and make sure that you can, I would say, have people that want to join a independent living, but then,
Mhm.
should they need more care, stay.
Exactly. That is what we build. So whenever we build ground up, we do within that titration. So the largest is independent living, then assisted living, and then the smallest population is memory care. But still a very specific, even if it's the smallest population, we make sure that we have a very engaging environment for our memory care residents, and it's very specific programming. So just because it's the smallest portion does not mean it receives less attention by any means. They all receive equal attention. But anything we build ground up is going to be that model that you indicated. But we have done acquisitions or third party management where it is a different model, and we're good with that as well. The only thing we don't currently have is standalone memory care.
Okay. And so we know that, since 2020, things are kind of like getting back more to normal or even
Yeah,
improving.
we're where we are.
Exactly. And so we know that, demand is surging, and we know that more and more, people on a daily basis will need, assisted living or just even independent living. How is Aspenwood approaching pricing, promos, value add without diluting the brand because it's luxury, and
Yes.
without compressing margins?
So we have to be very conscientious, especially in markets where we have several luxury communities. So, like, for example, in Houston, I have multiple luxury communities within a 15-mile span. Now, if you're going to drive it, and I don't know if you've ever driven in Houston, Texas, if you're going to drive it, it's going to take you a lot longer than 15 minutes, but a 15-mile diameter I have. Driving in Houston is its own thing, but a gorgeous city. But so we have to be very conscientious of that. So we want to make sure that we're providing the services, we're providing the amenities, and that each of our communities is slightly different from each other. So one may be more traditional, one may be more more of that, urbanish feel where it's more modern like. So we want to make sure that we have different product to serve. They're both luxury, it's all luxury, but we're serving different people. So we have one is next to Rice University, where predominantly our resident base is made up of, you know, retired professors, physicians, and things like that. So it's going to be very different than if we have one near the art district where it's people that enjoy different things in their life. But we really want to make sure that we're providing environments where people don't have to leave their neighborhood that they're familiar with, and they're still able to get out and about and go to their favorite local shops and do what they're used to, and having their friends come visit them, and hosting bridge or mahjong at the community with their friends from outside the community. That's Community is part of what we do. Like, that social aspect is such an important piece of what we do, and so we want to make sure that we continue to enrich lives. And my goal is that for anybody that moves into with us, whether it be IL, AL, or memory care, that they live a bigger, fuller life with us than they did before they moved in with us. And so yeah, so we really we don't do a lot of specials and incentives. We really try to sell the services and feel comfortable in the services that we're providing, and make sure that we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's with that.
It sounds like a great idea. So the idea is really to cater to the local population, but
Hmm.
really optimize their life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And are they playing pickleball? Because that's like, the sport that we're seeing everywhere and everywhere is Aspenwood on the pickleball train
They
on.
we don't have a pickleball court at the community. We do have pools at all the communities, but because, again, like our urban infill, we have such a small area we're
Yeah,
working with.
for sure.
But we do have pickleball alliances so that our residents and members have that opportunity.
And so we talked about also, people first. And so
Mhm.
according to McKnight's, you promoted 161 associates in 2024. What systems made that possible, and what impact did you see on your retention and service?
So I'm very fortunate that I've had the opportunity to grow within the industry. So again, I began as a sales director. Um, I've only worked for three organizations in four organizations in senior living entirely, from my sales director on up. So when at one organization, I had 6 or 7 different promotions. Organically happen. So I really feel like it is important if somebody's ready and they've accomplished what they're hired to do. And I think that's really important. You see a lot of people come into an organization and they immediately during the interview talking about promotion opportunities. And I'm always realistic with them that we're hiring you to do a specific role. I would love to see you grow, but you have to finish what you started. Like, you have to accomplish what we hired you to do. And because I'm a realist. I don't want to ever hire somebody and then think they're going to move up in a month, when realistically, it's really hard to get your feet wet and make a significant contribution in a month period of time, for anybody. So I'm always very cognizant of that and making sure that we have that open, honest discussion. But I really would love to give opportunities for growth, and we've done that by creating mentorship opportunities, where letting people we're in the process right now of creating an executive director and training program to roll out next year, to where our department directors can apply to be a part of that. I've done this in the past at other organizations, and sometimes people drop out of it. They go through it for a few months and they're like, I don't want to be an ED. I
I'm
had
good.
no idea what it went into it. And that's fine too. That still gives them an insight that they didn't have previously, and it's going to help
Yes.
them be a better community leader at the department they're leading. And so I think it's very important to show team members that you see them, you appreciate them, you recognize their contributions. That's so vitally important. And promoting internally goes along with that. That doesn't mean every role can be internally promoted. In the past in my career, I've also promoted people who weren't quite ready for a promotion. And that mistake is on me. They thought they were ready. Just because somebody thinks they're ready doesn't mean they're ready. So it's my job as a leader of an organization, and those who work directly with me, to help me ensure we're making those right decisions on who is ready for a promotion, or who we need to give additional insight or additional training, or help their view become a little bit larger. I remember when I was an executive director, I thought I had it down. Like, I thought my community it was just the bomb, right? Like, this community, we went from this to this, and we did make huge successes there. But in the grand scheme of the organization, there were much more luxurious communities within the portfolio. There were communities that were naturally going to bring in more revenue because of the location and so forth. So as my roles grew, my vision grew. It's like my telescope got wider and wider in my lens, and I was able to see a lot more. And sometimes I think that's important that we allow our team members to see more and more as well. And I also feel that it's very important as we're rolling out new initiatives or as we're having discussions on whether somebody's ready or not ready. I think it's important to be honest with individuals and give them the why and give them the metrics that we're looking for. Because if you're wishy-washy about it, you can't expect somebody to change or to grow if you don't give them specific metrics or ideas to grow towards.
Wow. That is great. And then on top of that, the great thing with you is that you're here and you lived it.
I
So
lived
it's,
it.
and I
I
mean
did
like
it.
lived it like you went through all the steps. So
I
people
did.
cannot say, oh, it's, yeah, but you is different. No, it's like
No.
clearly I'm in your, I'm in the place because I moved on. And so it's
Yeah.
great to have that. And so also one of the things that we were talking about at the beginning was that Aspenwood is pretty big on technology. However,
We are.
we all know that like AI scares people, technology scares people, and it can be residents or it can be also the employees or the team
Hmm.
members. Because am
Hmm.
I going to be replaced? Like I was just
Hmm.
reading this morning that there is a software company that fired 150 people replaced with AI.
Hmm.
So it's it's scary, and so you're pretty vocal about
Hmm.
it. But how do you mitigate, or how do you explain technology to the team members? And I know it's not going to happen, but meaning to be replaced, because in
No,
senior
not at
living
all.
you
You
can't.
can't, I mean, and senior,
How do
you can't, right? Like you can't. I mean, you can have, and we have technology to check individuals in when they come to visit or for residents or members to check in and out. We have technology for that, but we also have a concierge sitting there too, because there are things that you can't take away from. And part
Mm,
of being in a senior living community, whether it's IL, AL, memory care, is that sense of community, that sense of social interaction, that sense of having a conversation. So for senior living, it's not going to go away. What technology enables us to do is to be more efficient so that we can use our time more wisely, so that we can use time. So if we're helping resident with activities of daily living, for example, so say we're helping them get dressed, it's very important that we allow the resident to do as much as they can do. So say we're pretty helping them put their shirt on. It's very important that we allow that resident to do as much as they possibly can do, because if you start doing it for them, they're going to lose the skill set or the memory piece in order to be able to do that. And is it going to take longer for them to assist you? Probably. And that's where technology is beneficial, because technology can free up time to where we can assist those residents with their ADLs and also have good conversations with them at the same time, and good, meaningful conversations. It's great for our team members because they can learn a whole life history that they didn't know. They're going to learn about places in the world they've never heard of, myself included. I learned something just this morning. So I think it's so important that we understand that technology, we have to present it in a way how it's beneficial, because technology is going to do zero good if people don't buy into it. So, right, I can't just buy into it. My senior team can't just buy into it. Our frontline team members have to buy into it. Our community leadership has to buy into it. So we have to explain it in a realistic way. But also, when myself and my senior team are analyzing what softwares we're going, or what systems or what technology we're going to go with, we have to be very conscientious about it, because it has to be beneficial to those that are going to be using it or those that it's serving. So either our team members or residents or our members. So, for example, one software I was looking at, and this was a couple years ago, so it could be very different now, but it was an electronic admission paperwork. And we do have that now, but we went with a different company because, unfortunately, in today's day and age, we still do have to kill trees sometimes, which I hate. But for state, we do have to print off documents and have a file available for state to review and so forth. And one company, in order to print the admission paperwork, they made you print each document one by one by one. You had to click print, print, print. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this is to be an ease for my team members. And yes, them being able to sign it and review it electronically is great. But if they have to print one by one by one, that doesn't make sense. So I didn't, and I loved the organization. I loved the team members. I liked the technology. I liked everything except for that piece of it. And I didn't go with that technology. Again, I had the same technology with a different provider, but I didn't go for it because it didn't make sense for, and that would affect one position per community. But that's one position too many for it to negatively impact per community. Because I want anything that we do with technology to ensure we're creating efficiencies to free up our team members to do other activities and also to have work-life balance. That's something I've learned as well throughout my career because I burnt myself out. I was my own worst enemy. I would drive dramatic changes, but it came at the cost of myself. And I don't want to have that for my team members or for myself anymore. And so if technology can make us more efficient to where we can do better things while we're working and also give us the time when we're not working to enjoy life outside of work, which makes us better leaders. And it gives us time to think of new ideas and solve problems when we're not under fire, then that's what I'm looking for.
That is exactly. And so one of the things that I like about this technology to me, and one of the things that I'm excited to see is how technology is going to really help people have more time to be
Mhm.
with the resident, because I think that's going to be the technology that is going to be the most successful, at least in senior living, is just to make sure that it allows people, because of all the paperwork, and you were just talking about it, like,
Yes,
it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of
it is.
compliance and everything.
Documentation.
So
Hmm.
exactly. And so the more we can automate all that, the better it is, because it will also help people get insights on the daily activities, and also
Right,
the general health of people, but at the same time be there for the residents, which
for
is really
sure.
nice.
And
And
additionally, other technology that doesn't necessarily create efficiencies, but it betters our resident or member experience is, for example, on our resident engagement platform, we can see what residents have as their background. So when they move in, we can pair them up with others with similar backgrounds to at least kick off their move-in experience. That doesn't mean they'll be lifelong friends. Maybe they'll be friends with somebody else, but at least you give them some commonality when they're first moving in. And you can also cater your programming to ensure you're meeting the needs and what your preferences are of your diverse resident base. And that's what we want. We don't want a calendar that looks the same every day. We want to have lots of diversity so that we're meeting the needs of all of our residents or members. And everybody likes things different. I mean, that's what is healthy, and that's what makes the world go around is having differences. And so when
exactly.
we're able to see who participated in what. So we can say, well, maybe this activity we need to either re-envision it or maybe we need to scrap it. And having technology where you're not like going through, like literally when I began in the industry, we kept track of attendance at programming, and then it was called activities, with paper and pencil. That's not tracked anywhere other than that, right? It goes in a binder to show you did it, and it's gone. Like it's gone. You're never using it again. But with technology now, it's able to allow us to not just be efficient, but also to make better decisions that serve our residents. Um, so it's a win-win. And when families check in with our check-in platform, if they can scan a QR code, so they don't have to do anything, because once they do it, they can just say that QR code and they always have it then. So it's also a time saver for those that we serve as well, not just for our team members, but again, and that's giving our concierge time to do other things as well, so that they can be that friendly, smiling face and not feel frantic at the front desk, which can be a chaotic environment sometimes.
So it sounds by your explanation that this type of technology has been the most transformative in the senior living for you, on at least in your experience,
It
to
has been.
leverage, I would say.
And
Yeah.
we're not scared of it. We're not scared of it. I mean, and again, one person can't do this. Like, I am very fortunate to work with a team of amazing leaders who are all so confident in what they do that we challenge each other. And respectfully, we all like each other, we enjoy each other, but we also challenge each other respectfully, and that's how we ensure that we have the best software possible. People are not afraid to speak up and be like, oh, this seems glitchy. I'm trialing a software right now, for like one-on-ones with team members and so forth, and I have a meeting with the company every week to report any glitches or how it could be more user friendly. And so I'm piloting it personally with my team before we even consider rolling it out. So we're not paying for it at this point, because I want to make sure that it's going to be impactful. And I love technology. I mean, even for paper, I use an iPad. I don't use paper, period. I actually asked for something on paper last week and somebody asked me if I felt okay. So I literally never use paper. So I believe in technology, but I believe it also has to make sense. It has to be impactful, and you have to have the buy-in of those who are going to be using it, or you're wasting your money.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah, yes, for sure. And so, so we have, I would say operation technology,
Hmm.
and then we
Hmm.
also, one of the big thing, and now we're seeing it, is that the front door of a senior living is the website, is like, even, or even
It
the
is.
search on Google. And so how do you approach that, in the sense that it's kind of a race, and things are constantly changing, evolving, and switching. And so how do you keep up with all that in order to make sure that when people are searching, they have the right image of Aspenwood?
Hmm.
Because you want to keep, you want to make sure you keep that
Hmm.
level. So how are you, maintaining this, and making sure that you keep your competitive advantage with other, because Texas is a big one, but at least all of the states that you're in
Yeah.
is a pretty competitive. So
Hmm. That's a great question. I think that it is first, it's working with smart people because I think it's almost a science. I think it's a science. I think it's very specific and it changes frequently, but you have to be willing to pivot. So we routinely review our websites, we review social media, we review SEO, we look and see what's working, what's not working. So you have to be willing to pivot. Like you have to do something, give it a fair chance to work, and be willing to pivot if something's not working and not effective. And it doesn't mean, I think being willing to pivot is a strength. I don't see that means something else was a failure. I think it's a strength admitting that, hey, we need to look at this different and do something slightly different. I think I have great relationships with my peers in the industry, so the fellow leaders of other senior living communities or organizations, and we're competitors to a degree, but also a lot of us aren't competitors because we're serving different markets. But we share information a lot, and I think that's healthy, and I think that's good, and I think it's going to help the industry be better. But I think that you can't rest on your laurels. Like you have to continuously, on a weekly basis, we review SEO, we look at campaigns, and that doesn't mean we change things on a weekly basis because you have to give things a fair shot. But we're always consistently looking at it. We're not assuming because it did well 6 months ago, it's still going to do well. That's not the way we operate.
and what have you found that is helping Aspenwood the most when, leads come in, or an inquiry comes in? Because we know we talk about AI, automated chatbots and things like that. What are you seeing that's working, or do you think that type of
Yeah.
system works, or do you rely more on like genuine human connection?
I think it's really very much a combination of both. I'm a person who I'm oftentimes not available. I'm on planes or, I mean, I'm in communities where I try to put my phone down so that I can be present. So I think if I was looking for something, I would love for somebody to be able to get back to me very quickly with a prompt response. And so I like the chat feature, but I also think it's really important that we return calls in a timely manner. And I think it's important that the chat information be tailored to each community and what you offer at that community and those you're looking to serve in that community. So if it's standalone independent living community, those questions need to be tailored to an individual looking for a standalone independent living, not looking for assisted living or memory care. So I think it's really important that as you're leveraging that technology for that, that you're very specific and it also that it's stated in a way that is consistent with the branding and the verbiage that you as an organization use. So we're not going to call it a room, for example. We're going to say apartment. So I think it's really like you have to work with vendor partners who are willing to allow you flexibility to ensure your tone, your organization's tone is specific and that it's there. Just like if,
And
but
even between, I would say, offering as
even
well, as you
between
just
different
said.
communities, correct. So it's very important, and you have to find that right vendor partner. And that's not going to be every vendor partner, and it might not be the least expensive vendor partner, but you have to be willing to tailor it, or I don't believe you're going to get the outcomes that you're looking for.
Well,
And that would be
now,
frustrating too, right? And I also
no,
think
no,
real
for
quick,
sure.
I think having some
Yeah,
pricing
we're here
availability on
for
the
you.
webs I think having pricing availability on the website to at least some degree is important as well. Because if I'm looking at a car, like if it's $30,000 out of my price range, I don't want to go look at it. I don't want to fall in love with it if I can't afford it. And so I think there's some pricing knowledge, even if it's a range, for independent, a range for assisted, and a range for memory care. I think there needs to be a range available because personally, if I can't find a price on a website, I may not go further. I might stop and I might go look at a competitor on their website because there's no shortage of competitors. And it's no different than if you're looking for a Pilates studio or whatever the case may be. Like if I can't get the information online, then they're going to lose my interest. And the same with SEO, right? Like you need to come up in the top, you need to be on the first page because very few people are going to go to the second page and probably nobody's going to go to the third page or after. At least not me. I'm barely, but again, I live a busy life that I'm grateful for. But
That's the data.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
data that shows if you're not on
yeah.
the first page. And now we're
And
even
that's
working at we spent it up. We're even working on also on AI because now
exactly
you're starting seeing people, and I'm starting to really test it, for myself, aside from the company. But where should I place mom, near Houston, Texas, or what are
100%.
the top three? What are the top three? And if you cannot appear in those top three, slowly but surely you're going to start losing. So that's also
Exactly.
one of the big thing that people are not gauging the importance of yet, but the all those chat
Another
GPT,
science.
Grok. Yeah, and I have a Tesla, and so lately they added the AI in the car, so instead of like riding, you can just talk to it, and so it's
Yes.
not connected to the car functions, but it's just like if you want to chat, but you can totally have a full-on conversation with the system, which is pretty
Yes.
crazy how things are like, evolving so rapidly.
hmm
So to
We
me,
just
it's like one of
began
the biggest thing.
Well, I agree. We just began piloting it with 4 communities. So, the ability to use ChatGPT, Copilot, all the different options, like to use that AI technology. So we're piloted in 4 to really hone in on it, get it really where we want it, and then we'll be rolling it out across all our portfolio.
Yeah. And just to go back on what you were talking about, transparency, I think that is a really something, it's not something that's changing, but it's something just that younger people looking to place their loved ones are looking for. It's kind of like now people don't want to, they don't want to waste time
Yeah. Yeah.
talking. Like, give me the information. If I'm interested, I will call you. So
That's
I
the world
think that,
now.
yeah. So anyway, anything that now can be on the internet will be on the internet. And when I say that, is not like information, but it's like price. Yeah, it's pricing, all the details. And I feel that the better you present your community with the most details, the most information, the easier it's going to be to do the sale, and I would say the friendlier it's going to be also to get the people to join, and they will also
Yes.
have a better social match because they're like, oh, they have this, they have that, I like that, oh, it's the price point that I want, oh, the people are from
hmm
usually from this place, that's going to be
hmm
amazing for me. And they already kind of have sold, calling you because you already have that information. And doing the opposite right now is used to work maybe, but now it's done. Like I don't
Exactly.
really see any communities growing with withholding any information pricing. And as you said, I'm
It's just frustrating. I mean, it's the world
100%.
that we live in now, right? You can look online, you see how much a hotel costs, you can see how much you can build a car, you can see how much your car costs, you can see how much a car on a lot costs. I mean, it's just you can see how much houses cost. I mean, it's the world we live in, and you have to be willing to adapt to the world we live in, or be at the starting point of that, and making sure. And I think that once people have that basic information, it helps once our sales team members are able to connect with them, it helps them start forming that relationship because they don't have to go over some of the things. They're able to really learn quickly what matters and doesn't matter to that individual. And that's what we need to focus on. You don't go through a whole sales spiel, you focus on what's important to that individual. And because that's what matters to them, like, right, like they if they're not a foodie, then maybe we don't focus on as much of food. They're really about, where are we going to go out to, what are we going to do, and do I have transportation to doctor appointments? That's what you're going to focus on. But having some of that information, especially with the chat options that are available, it helps give you a head start. It really helps give our sales team member a head start, so that when they dive into those conversations, they're not starting from a blank slate.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I always say reduce friction. It's like if
Exactly,
people
I
want to
like that.
chat with you, let them chat with you. If they want to talk to you, let them have a phone number where they can talk to somebody. If they want to email, email. If they want to show up, let them show up,
Come on
but
in.
like have all the options.
I agree.
All right. And then so one last question. What are you
Mhm.
most excited about in senior living for the next couple of years?
I'm really excited that, I mean, for me, I'm grateful to have a really strong senior team, because that's going to help us bring Aspenwood even to a higher standard, which is something I love to do. I love for us to continue. And like, if we ever think we've got everything down, then we need to go back and start re-looking at it, because you never have everything down. It's always something you can make better, you can do better. So I'm really grateful to work internally. I'm great to work with a strong team. But I think externally, senior living as a whole is really adopting technology. They're moving forward with technology, and I think that's so important, because I think that it's going to be expected by individuals moving into communities, but I also think it's going to be expected by individuals coming to serve senior living communities. They're used to technology in their personal life, in their school, their work, like their prior lives. They're used to that. So I think that if they come in and they see somebody using a paper MAR, which is where we, you do medication. We don't use paper Mars, but there are places that still do. And I think that if they come in and see that, and as a recent, they graduated from nursing school 2 years ago, they're going to think they went back into the Flintstone. Well, they probably won't know what Flintstones are. They're going to think they went back into the dark ages. And so I think it's important that we use technology,
Or
not
you
just.
should say the in the 90s.
Okay,
So
yeah,
what are you
exactly.
trying to say now?
Right, right. So exactly, like Flintstones, what is that? But I think that it's important that we're going to be, individuals moving in are going to expect a really robust Wi-Fi system. They're going to expect smart technology. They're going to expect programming that involves smart technology, that helps them continue their education on how to use technology. But our team members are coming in are also going to expect that, and I think that's something that the industry as a whole is embracing and moving towards. Some faster than
Wow.
others, but I feel like
Yes.
that's the trajectory we have going.
Sounds like it with Aspenwood. It looks like you guys are covered with you at the helm.
That's very kind. Thank you, Alex.
Uh, Heather, it was a true pleasure really having you and learning all those the great things about Aspenwood, and I would say the future of senior living and where the senior living should be
Mhm.
going. So I'm really wishing you all the best for you and Aspenwood.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.